Hey guys, what's up? And today I'm going to show you how to set up one of my scar barrels. This is a product that I've been working on the design of for a little while. It's an internally adjusting scar barrel with 6 strings that you can adjust by removing this cap, twisting this little ring in 1/8 inch increments, and then it locks back into position. Then once it's where you want it, you take this cap, twist it back on, lock it into position. Now your strings are covered. You don't have to worry about it adjusting over gameplay, and it should perform extremely consistently. So there'll be a link to where you can download the sets of files in the description of this video, as well as a link to an Etsy page if you want to purchase one of these but can't print it. The current plan is to have the full kit available, as well as just the hardware if you just want to purchase the screws and nuts and things like that, and then print your own. There are 3 printed parts to this scar barrel: the main barrel itself, the locking cap, and the adjustment ring. The main barrel and the adjustment ring have matching extrudes and holes to allow you to adjust the turn of the barrel in 1/8 turn sections. I'm currently playing around with some different designs for this. I haven't fully switched over, but the initial ones, if you're watching towards the beginning of the run of this product, will be like the one you see on the right, and then potentially we'll switch to the ones you see on the left. They both work in the same manner, it's just a matter of printing consistency. To start the assembly process, we are going to take the 3 632 square nuts and we're going to push them into the holes you see here on the bottom. These might be a little bit tight, so you might have to use an X-Acto knife or something similar just to clean up the edge if there is a slight bit of over extrusion at the bottom, but otherwise they should press in pretty snugly. The best way I found to do this is take a pair of needle nose pliers, adjust the nut so that it fits into the hole properly, and then you can guide it in with your finger, or you could use the surface of a table to push it in once it's correctly aligned. Make sure it's not on an angle before you do this, otherwise you might snap your part. You can tell that it's aligned correctly because the hole of the nut lines up with the hole in the print and it's flush with the surface. The next step is going to be to take the 3 panhead screws, screw them in about halfway, leaving a little bit of the shank of the bolt so that you can wrap your fishing line around in a minute. So the next step is going to be aligning the adjustment ring with the barrel itself, and what I mean by that is there are 3 sets of these screws, as you can see, and there are 8 total positions, so sometimes it'll be off, which is fine once you're strung, but you want to make sure that you string it in the correct orientation. So if you follow a straight line up from where the holes are, it should be in the center of 2 of these little knobs, as you can see here, which it's not. So if I twist it to the next position over, I check, and I can see that it is now in the center of 2 of these slots, and I'm going to do the other side just to make sure. So I go here, I work my way up, and I can see that it's in the center, and then the last one should also be in the center of 2 positions, and that'll mean when I string it up in the neutral position with 0 twist, the strings will all be in the correct orientation. So the next step is actually going to be stringing the scar barrel. So I have the stringing tool, and this is just the skewer with the little 3D printed part on it to make it a little easier. Now you're going to take some sections of the fishing line, which is kind of difficult to see on camera, but you're going to want about 16-inch sections. If you're buying it from me, I give you a 4-foot section so you can cut it into 3 even pieces and it'll be about 16 inches. You really just need something over 12 because you're using about 12 and you need to tie it off. So you're going to want to feed 2 ends of the string through the little holes on the tool, and then that'll create a loop on the other end, which we can use to attach to the adjustment ring. So once you got a couple inches on the end of the stringing tool, you're just going to take it, place it through, pull it through gently. So now we have our 2 ends at the bottom, and we should have a loop at the top. So this is why we aligned the adjustment ring first. So now I have the 2 ends of that, and our bolt is essentially right in the center. So we're going to very carefully work it into the notch at the top, and then we can bring it through these little 2 notches at the bottom, and then we can tie it off once we ensure that there are no tangles on the inside. Again, I apologize because this is kind of difficult to see on camera, but you can see there's 2 strings in the center and they go through and loop around and there's no crosses in them. That's really what you want to make sure that there are no accidental crossings of the string. Once I ensured my strings were not crossed on the inside, I applied a little force and wrapped them each around the bolt one time. And now what I could do is check my tightness. So I want this to adjust, sort of lock back into position as you see there. I think that's a little too loose. You want a little bit of force in it, but not too much that you can't adjust it ever, because that would deplete the purpose. So I'm going to make it a little tighter and then I can tie it off and do the other 2 strings. So to finish off these strings, I tied 2 little knots at the end after wrapping it around twice. Now I can hold it tightly, tighten off that screw, and then I can cut off the excess string. I would leave just a little hair so that it doesn't work its way off, but for the most part it should be good after you clamp it in with the bolt. So now once you have all 3 sets of strings, making the 6 strings of the barrel, you should be able to click it and it should snap back into position, and that will hold it at the 1/8 turn increments. So for example, that would be 1/8 of a twist. Now we're up to a 1/4 twist. And then once we figure out what we want, we can put on the locking cap, lock it into position. Be careful not to go too crazy with over tightening it because it's still a 3D printed part. But now your end is protected, none of these strings are exposed, and it won't accidentally adjust itself as you're playing. So you won't have to worry about knocking into anything or things like that. So it should be extremely consistent in terms of performance, which is sort of what I was going for when I designed it. Now the last step would be to put in the 3 of the flathead screws, and those act as little set screws. So you're going to not want to tighten them all the way. You're going to want to slide this onto the end of your barrel, make sure it's where you want it, and then you can lock it into position by going around and doing like, a half turn on each of the screws at a time, making sure that it's evenly distributing the locking. So you're not going to put it on, tighten one all the way, and then it might get on a slight angle. So if you go around and do them sort of evenly, it should lock it into position and you're good to go. So that's going to wrap up the general overview of this product. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section down below, or email me, or I guess through Etsy now that I'm starting that. So any of those platforms would be fine. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video.